Hi all, welcome to session 19 of Azure Data Factory, and in this session we are going to discuss about delete activity. It's a very simple activity. As the name suggests, delete is used to delete file or folder from storage on-prem as well as cloud. But before we move on our demo, let me just go to the documentation of delete activity. So you search delete activity in ADF, and in this you can see all the details. So I just want to discuss about the various storage options that you can have on which you can delete the files using delete activity. So you have Azure Blob Storage, Azure Data Lake, Gen 1 and Gen 2 Azure files, and these all four options are from Azure. Microsoft Fabric, as again it's a Microsoft product, but it is separate from Azure. So you have top four options from Microsoft. This Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse is also from Microsoft. You have on-prem options like file system, FTP, SFTP, and SDFS. Then you have different cloud providers like AWS, Google, and Oracle. So all these cloud storage solutions and on-prem storage solutions can be used in your delete activity. So essentially, you can perform delete operations on all of these services. Okay. Now delete option with combination with copy activity can also give you a move operation. So it will look like it is moving, but actually it is going to copy using the copy activity. So your data will be copied from source to sink, and after that you have copied the data, you want to delete the data from source, so you will put the delete activity after the copy activity. So it will look like your pipeline is moving the data, but in actual sense it is basically copying and deleting the source. Okay. So it can also mimic a move operation in your data pipeline. Okay. Now let's go into our demo. So I'm going on my portal. Let me go on portal.azure.com, and again I'm going to use the same data that I have used in session 18, that is execute pipeline activity. So there we had two files, employee as well and companies. So we are going to use both files in this session as well. Okay. So let me go to my data factory. I will jump on studio. Let me open the studio. Okay, in the meantime, let me go to Azure Data Factory resource group. I will also open my data lake. In data lake, I will go to containers, and in source container you see you have variable input file1.txt, file2.txt. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to perform a move operation using copy activity and delete activity. So technically what I'm going to do, I'm going to move these two files from source to sync, and then I'm going to delete these two files from the source. Okay. So this is our use case, and let's see how we can do it. Okay. So in order to reduce my effort, I'm just going to clone my variable demo pipeline. So you can click here and you can click on clone. So essentially it is going to create a clone of the existing pipeline. You just say I want to put the different, you put the name like delete activity demo. It will describe what is going to happen in this pipeline. So here you are saying set file name, you are copying the data. Set variable, again you are again copying the data, and at the end, instead of using the pipeline return value, this was part of my session 17 part 2. So I'm going to delete this, and instead of that I'm going to put delete activity here. Okay. Very simple. Delete copied files from source. Okay. So this is going to delete our source files. So here what I have to do, I have to say what data set I want to use. So here I'm going to use container folder path file path. So I'm going to use the same data set that I have been using for last 2-3 sessions. Okay. So I'm going to say I want to delete data from source, and I want to delete data from source. Variable input is going to be the folder, variable input is going to be the folder, and after that I'm going to say I want to delete all the files. Let me use this wildcard, that will be much more helpful. Okay, so here I'm going to say I just want to delete everything ending with star.txt. Okay, so it is going to go into source container in variable input folder, and it is going to delete everything with .txt extension. So ideally in our case both these files should be deleted once they have been copied into sync location. Okay, so let me go back into my sync container. I will just delete this folder. So I want to recreate this folder and copy the file, so I'm deleting it for now. Let me publish it. Okay, I have to give logging settings, so I'm going to disable it. I don't need it right now. Let me validate. Okay, no value provided for parameter file. Just a second. Yeah, so here we have to give dataset file name as well. So let me put this txt. Since we are using wildcard file path, it should not pick this, but still we have to give because it is complaining. Let me just put it a file name, something like that. Demo.txt. Okay, since you are using wildcard file path, it is going to pick start.txt after the folder path. So still we have to provide this value because it is being asked. But in other way, if you don't want this complaint to happen in your pipeline, you can also provide default value to your parameter. Okay, so let me open it and I will show that as well. So if you go and check the parameter, I will say here dummy.txt. Okay, so if I now go and remove this value, I'm going to validate and it won't complain because now it has a default value. So this is a good approach. That way you will not be confused. So once you picked wildcard file path here, whatever you pass, it is going to pick that particular path at the end. Okay. So let me validate. Everything is looking good. Let me publish. Okay, it is published. Now let's check. So essentially my pipeline is going to first copy file 1, then the variable will set the value as file2.txt for itself. After that it will again copy the file 2, and then it is going to delete everything from source variable input with .txt extension. Okay, this is our expectation. So let's see how this pipeline executes. Let's go to pipeline run. Okay, the first step is complete, second is in queue. Okay, files have been copied. Let me contract this pipeline so that, yeah, now so it's now on the delete activity. Yeah, pipeline run succeeded. Now let me refresh, and if you see, your variable input folder is empty. The reason, your files have been deleted from the source. And if you now go back and go into sync, you will see your variable output has the files. Okay. So in this way, you can use your delete activity to clean up the data that you do not need. You can enable logging. We will see logging in the next session, how logging can help us. Basically, the purpose of logging is to maintain a track of what has been deleted by the delete activity. Just in case if you delete something accidentally, you should be able to track it. So that is why logging feature is given in the delete activity. Okay. So I would urge you to practice these activities, like perform various scenarios. Make sure your files that you are using in these demos are very small in size, because data factory charges you for the amount of data that you process using data factory. So it is pay as you go, and if you have less data, your pipeline will be costing you less. Okay, so please keep this in mind and perform as many practice activities as possible. Okay, so in the next session we are going to see what is logging in the delete activity. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. Let's meet in the next session.